My name is Riley Monroe, and I'm 28. And I'll never forget the moment I realized I'd been replaced in my own friend group. It was a Wednesday night, and I was curled up on my couch after a long client meeting, scrolling through Instagram while half listening to a podcast. That's when I saw it. A photo posted by Camille, my closest friend since college. They were all there, every single one of them, laughing around a long table at Osteria, the Italian place I introduced them to years ago. The caption read, "Couldn't ask for a better crew. Chosen family forever." My stomach dropped. At first, I thought maybe it was an old photo, a throwback. But the outfit Ava was wearing, this obnoxious sequined top she'd bragged about buying just days ago, confirmed otherwise. This was last night. A group dinner, no big deal. Except I wasn't invited. Not even a heads up. Not even a "you around?" And there Ava was, seated right in the center of the photo, grinning like she owned the night. I stared at the screen, blinking like it would change. This wasn't just a missed invite. This was a deliberate omission. And the worst part? No one noticed. Or if they did, no one cared enough to say anything. I closed Instagram and tossed my phone aside, trying to brush it off, telling myself they must have thought I was busy. But it clung to me like smoke. These were the women I'd vacationed with, laughed with, cried with. I was the one who coordinated birthdays, remembered anniversaries, started the damn group chat. My chest tightened as I replayed the last few months. The slight shift in energy, the unanswered texts, the vague excuses, the plans that suddenly weren't happening, only to show up on someone's story a day later. Ava had been creeping into everything quietly, always volunteering to host, suggesting meetups, slowly drawing them in. At first, I was glad she was bonding with everyone. I believed there was room for more. But it was like I opened the door for her and she slammed it shut behind me. I lay awake that night, staring at the ceiling, trying to pinpoint the moment everything changed. Maybe it was the cabin trip I missed when I was sick. Or the time Ava made that joke about how I always had to be in control of everything. Everyone had laughed a little too hard. I told myself I was being paranoid, overthinking. But now, I knew better. Something had shifted, and I wasn't crazy for noticing it. I had been quietly pushed out of the group I helped build. Replaced, not because I did something wrong, but because someone else wanted my seat. And nobody stopped her from taking it. We were never meant to be a group. Not really. It just kind of happened. A few connections here, a couple overlapping circles there. But somehow we became something solid. The Core Six, as we jokingly called ourselves. Camille and I met in college, bonded over cheap wine and terrible roommates. She introduced me to Zoe, her friend from yoga. Zoe brought in Hannah from her publishing job, and Hannah dragged along Layla, who she met at a writing retreat. Then I invited Claire, my neighbor turned best brunch buddy. Different backgrounds, different careers, but somehow it worked. It was messy and chaotic and perfect in a way I never questioned, until someone else started poking at the edges. We weren't the kind of group who posted every hangout or matched outfits for dinner, but we were there for the big stuff. Breakups, promotions, panic attacks in parking lots, late-night texts about nothing and everything. Every Sunday we did brunch. Every December, a secret Santa with ridiculous handmade gifts. And every year, I made sure we had a summer trip. I planned, booked, wrangled, confirmed. I was the planner, the steady one. Not because I needed control, but because I loved them. For a while, that was enough. I thought we were unshakable. Sure, there were shifts. Camille got promoted and busier. Zoe moved in with her boyfriend. Layla got obsessed with CrossFit. But the center held. Or so I thought. Looking back, I see it now. How the balance shifted when Ava came in. Ava wasn't even supposed to be permanent. Camille brought her to a wine night one fall because her coworkers' plans had fallen through. She fit in quickly. Maybe too quickly. She had this way of making people laugh, of pulling attention like gravity. She always knew what to say, what joke to make, which secret to pretend to be shocked by. I watched her do it. with all of them. And still, I gave her the benefit of the doubt. I was raised to be polite, to make space. At first, Ava's presence was fine, refreshing even. She had good energy. She organized a Halloween get-together when I was out of town, took over brunch one Sunday, and made everyone little place cards. I was impressed. I even told her so. But then she started rewriting things, making new group chats without me, for quick planning, suggesting hangouts I only found out about after. Everyone seemed to love her for it. Ava's just so on top of things, Camille said once, completely missing the irony. I didn't think I needed to defend my place. I didn't think I had to. But slowly, Ava started becoming the center. And I, without noticing, was being pushed to the edges. Not with cruelty, just quiet exclusion. Like a slow fade-out from a picture I used to be the focus of. Ava Kennedy was the kind of person who knew how to read a room, and then own it. She didn't walk into a space, she entered, like she was waiting for applause that might come a few seconds too late. At 29, she was a little older than some of the girls in the group, but she had that curated, effortless vibe that made her feel aspirational. High-waisted jeans that always fit just right, hair that somehow held a wave without frizz, and stories that made her sound like she lived in a Netflix original series. But beneath all of that polish, there was something sharper, something I didn't fully see until it was too late. Camille brought her into the group under the banner of, "You'll love her, she's hilarious." And sure, Ava was funny. In that quick, observational way where she could turn someone's awkward comment into a punchline and still make them feel like they were in on the joke. The first few hangouts went smoothly. She laughed at my jokes, complimented my jacket, even asked me for Denver restaurant recommendations when she found out I'd lived there briefly. But it felt rehearsed, like she was auditioning. I brushed off the feeling. Maybe I was being territorial. After all, I'd helped build this group. Of course I'd feel protective. Still, little things started piling up. Ava began mirroring people, picking up Layla's phrases, borrowing Camille's taste in wine, even buying the same shoes as Zoe and posting them with "inspired by my girl" captions. When she started wearing a jacket nearly identical to mine, down to the color and cut, I couldn't help but feel a chill crawl up my spine. She was slowly stitching herself into the group's fabric, thread by thread, while I stood watching with my hands full of frayed ends. She never made an overt move. That was her talent. She complimented me in public, laughed at my stories, but in private she'd nudge. A subtle eye roll when I brought up planning another trip. A joke about how I always had to have a spreadsheet. I heard about those comments later, from Layla, from Zoe, always passed along with a nervous laugh, as if to say you know how Ava is. And that's how it worked. Death by 1,000 tiny jabs, all sugar-coated. The real twist? I tried to be her friend. I included her, defended her when she was late, invited her into my home. I wanted to believe she was just trying to fit in. But now I see it clearly. Ava didn't want to join the group. She wanted to run it. And I was standing in the way. The weekend everything shifted was supposed to be a reset. A quiet cabin trip 2 hours upstate, just the 6 of us. Like old times. Camille had found the Airbnb. Zoe was bringing board games. I offered to make my famous blueberry pancakes. I told myself this would be the trip that pulled us back into sync. The last few months had felt shaky. Plans being made without me. Side chats I wasn't part of. But I chalked it up to life being busy. People grow apart, but we could still grow together, right? I arrived Friday evening with a bottle of wine and a playlist. Ava was already there. She greeted me like we were best friends. Hug, squeal, compliment on my coat. It felt performative, like she needed an audience. The others trickled in, and the night began as planned. Pizza, sweatpants, music, the smell of cinnamon candles. For a few hours, it felt like everything was fine. Normal, until it wasn't. Saturday morning, I woke up early and started prepping breakfast, just like I always did on trips like these. I was halfway through flipping pancakes when Ava came into the kitchen wearing my exact hoodie, the navy blue one with the faded graphic I'd had since college. I stared for a second, trying to figure out if I was imagining it. "Oh, this?" she said casually. It was in the laundry pile. I figured it was communal. Then she winked and poured herself coffee. I told myself it was small. Stupid. But the rest of the weekend followed the same pattern. Ava inserted herself into every moment. She volunteered to lead a hike I had researched. She turned movie night into a game night and picked the game. At one point, Zoe went to tell a story about something that happened to us, and Ava jumped in to finish it. Incorrectly, but no one corrected her. Least of all me. The final crack came Saturday night. We were sitting around the fire pit, passing a bottle of red wine, when Ava turned the conversation to relationships. I was talking about my breakup, something recent, still sore, when Ava interrupted with a joke. "Well, maybe now Riley will stop vetting everyone else's boyfriend so hard." The group laughed. A couple people said Ava, like it was harmless, but my chest burned. I looked around and realized no one was looking at me. They were all watching her. I stayed quiet the rest of the night. Just watched her work the room, making Layla laugh, complimenting Camille's hair, volunteering to clean up. She was cementing herself into every crack I didn't even know existed. And I realized then, for the first time, that I was no longer the center of anything. I was the memory of what the group used to be. And Ava was the future they were choosing without me. It was a Sunday morning when it finally hit me. I'd been ghosted by brunch, the standing ritual, the thing we never missed unless someone was out of town, sick, or had a death in the family. Every week for nearly 4 years, we met at the Grove on Main, rain or shine. We'd sit at the back table near the window, order bottomless mimosas, and catch up on everything. Work, breakups, weird dreams, TikTok drama. It was our thing. I built my weekends around it. But that Sunday, no one texted. I figured maybe we were skipping. It had been a quiet week in the group chat. So I slept in, did laundry, and finally checked Instagram around noon. And there they were. All of them. Sitting at our table, the same white mugs, the same damn avocado toast. Camille had posted a boomerang of everyone clinking glasses, captioned, "Sundays are for the girls." Everyone tagged, except me. I just stood there in my kitchen, my phone burning in my hand, trying to make sense of it. I double-checked the timestamp. It was now. As in, this wasn't an old photo. They were at brunch. Without me. And no one said a word. I stared at the screen for a long time, waiting for the text that would follow. Some last-minute excuse. "Oh, we thought you were busy," or "you didn't respond in time." But nothing came. And when I finally texted the group, I got 3 replies, all within the hour. Camille, "Oh no, we thought you were out of town." Zoe, "Didn't you say you were slammed with work this weekend?" Ava, "We missed you. Next time for sure." Missed me, like I'd forgotten, like I'd been the one to walk away. I sat down on the edge of the couch, suddenly remembering the last time I had suggested brunch. 2 weeks ago. Ava had forgotten to respond, and Camille had said she was exhausted. That brunch never happened. But now, without me, it somehow did. It was so subtle, so calculated. Ava had found the pulse of the group and quietly cut me off from it. Not with a blowout fight or some dramatic fallout. Just silence. Just absence. She rewrote the story so that my exclusion felt like a misunderstanding instead of what it was. A choice. That night, I stared at my phone, wondering what version of me they were all laughing about across that table. The overplanner? The one who always needed a spreadsheet? Did they even notice I was missing? Or worse, did they finally prefer it that way? I didn't cry. I just felt hollow, like I'd been slowly erased, one unreturned text at a time. Late one night, after hours of trying to convince myself I was overthinking everything, I did what I swore I wouldn't do. I opened Instagram again. And this time, I didn't just scroll. I searched. Every story, every tagged post. I went looking for proof. something undeniable, something that would confirm I wasn't imagining the way they'd all been pulling away. And what I found wasn't a smoking gun. It was 1,000 tiny cuts, scattered across feeds like confetti. Camille had posted a reel from wine and charcuterie night at Ava's 2 weeks ago, the same night I'd invited everyone to a movie. No one responded to my text. I'd ended up going alone. Zoe had uploaded a photo dump from Spontaneous Girls' Night. There was a shot of Layla doing karaoke, Ava in the middle, arm around Camille, and a caption that stung more than I expected. This group just gets me. I wasn't in a single photo. I hadn't even heard about that night. And then there was Ava's profile. Ava Kennedy, curator of connections, self-declared lover of good energy, and apparently the new ringleader of the circle I helped build. Her stories were a catalog of everything I'd missed. Game nights, rooftop drinks, mini road trips. She even posted a selfie in front of the mural I introduced the group to 2 summers ago. The caption? Tradition, as if she'd been the one to start it. Everywhere I looked, I saw pieces of me. Places I loved, jokes I'd started, plans I once made, now repackaged, claimed, and repurposed without me. And Ava was always in the center, smiling, framing it all like she'd been there from the beginning. What hurt most wasn't that I wasn't invited. It was that no one seemed to notice I was gone. Or worse, they noticed and they didn't care. I wasn't just being excluded, I was being replaced. And Ava wasn't hiding it. At one point, I found a comment thread under a photo of the group at dinner. Someone had written, "Where's Riley?" Ava replied with a heart emoji, and she's doing her own thing these days. That was it. No tag, no mention. Just a vague, glossy dismissal, like I was an old shirt they'd donated and already forgotten about. I put my phone down, face burning, stomach twisted. I felt small, humiliated, and so tired of pretending it didn't bother me. Because it did. It gutted me. They didn't just leave me out. They made sure I watched them thrive without me. And Ava, she made sure I knew she'd won. I sat on the fence for days, debating whether to say something or let it all rot in silence. But eventually, the weight of being quietly erased became heavier than the fear of seeming dramatic. So I decided to confront Camille. If anyone could explain what was happening, it was her. We'd shared 10 years of history. College dorms, late-night breakdowns, maid of honor promises. If there was still any piece of the old us left, I needed to try. We met at a cafe halfway between our apartments. Neutral ground. I wore makeup even though I didn't feel like it, trying to look more composed than I was. She hugged me like everything was fine, but it wasn't. I could tell by the way she sat down. Nervous smile, eyes flicking to the side like she was bracing for something. I didn't waste time. Why wasn't I invited to brunch? Camille blinked, caught off guard. What? Last Sunday, and the girls' night, and wine night, all of it. I saw the photos. Don't act like you don't know. She let out a long breath and stirred her coffee for far too long. It's not like that. Things have just shifted, I guess. You've seemed distant lately. Distant? I laughed, but it came out more like a cough. I've been excluded, Camille. There's a difference. She looked uncomfortable. I don't think anyone meant to exclude you. It's just that Ava's been organizing a lot lately. She's really good at it. And sometimes she just puts things together quickly and not everyone gets added. Not everyone? Or just me? She didn't answer. That silence was enough. Ava's trying to replace me, I said plainly, and you're letting her. Camille looked down. It's not about replacing anyone. It's just, the group feels different now. Ava brings a different kind of energy. Things feel easier, less tense. That one landed. So I'm the tension? I didn't say that. You didn't have to. I stared out the window, blinking hard. So this was it. Ava hadn't just nudged me out. She'd done it slowly, softly, by rewriting the narrative. Suddenly, I was the problem, the difficult one. The planner turned control freak. The glue turned weight. I pushed back my chair. Thanks for clearing it up. Camille reached out across the table, but I was already standing. Riley, come on. Don't do this. I'm not doing anything, I said. I already did everything. That was the problem. I walked out into the cold without looking back. Something in me cracked that day, not just from losing my place in the group, but from realizing how quietly people let it happen. Not with betrayal, but with permission. My birthday came and went like it didn't matter. No brunch, no surprise cupcakes, not even a dinner. Just 2 texts, one from Zoe that said, "Happy bidet, babe. Hope it's a good one," and one from Layla 3 hours late. "Can't believe it's your birthday already. Miss you, girl." That was it. Ava posted a story with a photo of us from a year ago. Me laughing, her in the background, both of us dressed up for Camille's rooftop party. The caption said, "Happy birthday to a queen," with a sparkle emoji and a song snippet I used to love. It got dozens of likes. People replied with cake emojis and, "You guys are so cute," not realizing we hadn't spoken in weeks. I stared at the post for a long time, trying to figure out what was more painful, the fake sentiment or the fact that even this performative gesture hurt. It felt like a placeholder. Like Ava wanted credit for being gracious without actually being present. She knew exactly what she was doing. From the outside, it looked like I'd pulled away, like I was too busy or unreachable. But from the inside, I knew the truth. They had taken steps back one at a time until I was standing alone, and then smiled at me like it was my idea. Last year, they'd filled my apartment with balloons and noise and confetti that I was still vacuuming out of the carpet weeks later. This year, I sat on my couch in silence, watching old birthday videos, hearing my own laugh in clips that now felt foreign. My apartment was quiet, my phone colder than ever. I hadn't realized how deep I'd rooted my identity into being the friend who showed up until the day no one showed up for me. Around 6 p.m., I baked my own cake. Something to do with my hands. Something warm to fill the air. Chocolate, just like I always made for the group. I remembered how Ava once said mine was a little too rich, but still impressive, like it was both a compliment and a dig. She had a gift for that. I lit a single candle, not for the wish, just for the moment. Just to mark the fact that I was still here. Still breathing. Still standing in the ruins of something I used to believe was unbreakable. I didn't cry. I didn't even blow it out. I let it burn until the wax ran down the side, pooling at the base like a quiet elegy for a year I didn't ask for. No one called. No one knocked. I didn't expect them to anymore. Whatever version of me they'd built in their heads, clingy, overbearing, too much, they could keep it. I knew who I was. I was Riley Monroe. And whether they remembered me or not, I wasn't going to forget myself. I found out about the Napa trip the way I found out about everything lately. By accident. I was on Pinterest, looking up recipe ideas for a client's blog redesign, when a photo popped up that stopped me cold. It was Camille, Zoe, Layla, and Ava, standing in front of a vineyard sign I knew well. Smiling in sun hats, wine glasses in hand, arms slung around each other like sisterhood was alive and well. The caption read, "Golden hours and even better company. Napa girls." I just stared. Not blinking, not breathing. Like maybe if I froze long enough, the photo would change. The Napa trip wasn't just a weekend getaway. It was my tradition. I'd planned the first one 3 years ago, down to the dinner reservations and matching robes. I'd built the Google sheet, booked the winery tours, found the Airbnb with the lavender field and fire pit. I was the reason we'd gone back every year since. It had become our thing, one of the few constants that kept us tethered through changing jobs, bad breakups, new cities. And now they were there, without me. I refreshed the feed obsessively. Layla posted a reel, slow motion wine pouring, Ava twirling under fairy lights, Zoe laughing with a cheese plate in hand. I recognized the rental. Same one as last year. Same kitchen where I'd made breakfast for everyone. Same hammock where Camille and I stayed up too late talking about things that felt important at the time. This wasn't an oversight. This was deliberate. I texted Camille, just one line. "You went to Napa without me?" It showed as read. No reply. Hours later, I got a message from Ava instead. "Hey, Riley. Just wanted to say it wasn't anything personal. The trip kind of came together last minute, and I wasn't sure if you'd even want to come after everything. Hope you're doing okay." After everything. That phrase stuck in my throat like glass. After everything. Meaning after I dared to question being left out. After I stopped apologizing for taking up space. After I stopped making it easy for them to forget me. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw my phone across the room. But I didn't. I just sat there, numb, and let it all wash over me. This wasn't just about Napa. It was about being erased from my own life, from the traditions I built, the rituals I nurtured, the people I thought would always have my back. Ava hadn't just taken my place. She'd made it look like I was never needed in the first place. And the worst part? They let her. Every single one of them. The week after the Napa trip, I stopped pretending I was okay. I didn't post anything, didn't text anyone. I answered work emails, met deadlines, showed up to client meetings in clean clothes with lipstick on. But the moment I came home, the silence swallowed me. I'd sit on the floor of my apartment, staring at the bookshelf, willing myself to do anything. Read, cook, even cry. But I couldn't. I was emptied out. Hollowed by a kind of quiet grief I hadn't expected friendship to leave behind. I kept asking myself what I'd done wrong. Was I too intense? Too present? Too much? But then I'd replay all the things I had done. Planned every birthday, remembered every breakup anniversary. Drove Zoe to the ER that night she fainted at the gym. The nights Camille crashed on my couch after fights with her ex. The playlists I made, the group texts I started. I had given so much of myself. Not for credit, just because I loved them. And they watched me get pushed out like I was some guest who overstayed her welcome. I couldn't keep spinning in that space, so I booked a session with my old therapist, Dr. Ko. She listened as I unpacked the whole thing. Ava, the group, the slow drift that turned into a free fall. "You're grieving," she said gently. "It's a loss, Riley. And losses don't always need funerals to be real." I nodded, tears finally coming. She didn't offer false hope. She didn't suggest I reach out again or try harder. Instead, she said something that stuck. "Stop waiting for the people who hurt you to fix it. That's not healing. That's hope disguised as paralysis." That night, I made a list. Not of people to text or places to go. Just names. People I missed. People I'd fallen out of touch with not because of drama, but because of life. Rachel from graduate school. Maddie from my old job. Even Celine, a sweet, quiet girl Ava had once mocked for being socially allergic. I sent 3 messages. Just simple hellos. No pressure, no expectations. 2 replied within an hour. The next weekend, I met Maddie for coffee. We talked for 2 hours like no time had passed. I laughed. Like, really laughed. The kind that shakes something loose in your ribs. The kind I hadn't felt in months. She told me about a book club she was joining. Said I should come. I said maybe. Driving home, I felt something unfamiliar. Air in my lungs, space in my chest. Not from the people who left, but from the ones I'd forgotten were still there. I wasn't healed. Not even close. But I was tired of bleeding for people who'd already moved on. And somewhere beneath all that ache, I felt it. Resolve. Not revenge, not pettiness. Just the slow, steady decision to start again. On my own terms. I reached out to Serena first. She'd been part of the group back in the early days. Quiet, thoughtful. The The kind of person who noticed things but never fought for space. She drifted out about a year after Ava joined. No big blow up, just fewer replies, more missed hangouts, until one day her name stopped appearing in the group chat altogether. I hadn't thought much of it at the time. I figured she was just busy. Now I wondered if she'd gone through exactly what I was going through, and no one noticed. I sent her a simple message. Hey, I know this is out of the blue, but I've been thinking about you lately. Want to grab coffee? She responded within minutes. Yes, more than you know. We met at a small cafe near the park, and when I saw her walk in, same soft smile, still wearing that oversized denim jacket, I felt something shift, a sense of recognition, of safety. I wasn't sure you'd want to see me, I said after we ordered. Serena looked at me like I'd said something absurd. Riley, you were the only one who ever actually saw me. We talked for hours, about the group, about Ava, about how it had felt to slowly be squeezed out of something that was once hers too. Serena told me that after Ava joined, she felt invisible. Every time she spoke, Ava talked over her. Every plan she made got accidentally canceled or rerouted. The others, she said, didn't seem to notice. Or worse, they noticed and didn't care. I thought it was just me, I admitted, voice barely above a whisper. Serena shook her head. Number Ava's good at isolating people. She makes it look like your absence was your idea. That sentence echoed in my mind the whole drive home. Later that week, I reached out to Lily, the other one who'd quietly slipped through the cracks. She used to be Zoe's +1 to everything. Ava had once joked, not kindly, that Lily was Zoe's emotional support human. I hadn't seen her in over a year. She responded instantly, too. Are you free Friday? I have so much to tell you. We met at her apartment, opened a bottle of wine, and unpacked everything. Turns out, Lily had also been nudged out, this time under the guise of being too sensitive. Ava had once told the others that Lily took things way too personally and was kind of exhausting. I winced when I heard that, because I remembered that phrase. Ava had said it in front of me once, and I hadn't pushed back. Do you know how lonely it is to feel erased in a group of people who used to know you? Lily said. I thought I was crazy, or boring, or just not enough. You were never the problem, I said quietly. None of us were. That night, sitting on Lily's couch, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Not anger, not grief, just clarity. Ava hadn't just pushed me out, she'd built a pattern. And I wasn't the first. But maybe, just maybe, I'd be the last. The idea came to me slowly, like light creeping into a dark room. I didn't wake up one morning plotting some dramatic reclaiming of my social life. There was no grand scheme. Just a text from Lily. Would love to hang again soon. And then one from Serena. Let me know if you ever want to do another game night. I miss those. It was quiet, gentle, but underneath it was something I hadn't felt in a long time. Wanting. Not out of obligation, not to prove a point. Just people who wanted to be around me. So I said yes. I booked a table at a little wine bar downtown. Cozy, warm lighting, the kind of place you could hear yourself talk without yelling over music. I invited Lily and Serena first, then Maddie, then Rachel from graduate school. One by one, women I had once been close to, people Ava never bothered to notice, started saying yes. I didn't overthink it. I didn't pitch it as a comeback or a replacement or anything close to that. I just said, I've missed good company. Let's catch up. That night, something shifted. We laughed. Real, shoulder-shaking, breath-stealing laughter. Talked about books and shows and people we used to be. No one checked their phone under the table. No one rolled their eyes when someone talked too long. It wasn't curated or filtered or performed. It was just good. When Lily hugged me goodbye, she said, "This felt like what it used to feel like." But it didn't. It felt better. The next weekend, Serena invited me to her friend's birthday picnic at the park. I said yes. A few days after that, Maddie sent me a flyer for a local art exhibit, and we went, just the two of us. Camille liked the photo I posted. No comment, no message, just a like. I stared at the notification, waiting for it to mean something. It didn't. Ava never reached out. Not once. But I started to notice the silence on her end, too. The group stories became fewer. Posts felt forced, captioned like they were trying to prove something. It was subtle. But I saw it. The way attention drifted. How once Ava no longer had me to edge out, there was no one left to compete with. Just the echo chamber she built. I didn't celebrate her collapse. That wasn't the point. The point was, I wasn't surviving anymore. I was building something. Something real. Something mine. And it didn't need approval or validation or a group chat to keep it alive. Just people who saw me. And stayed. It was Serena's birthday that gave me the moment I didn't even know I needed. She texted me a few weeks out. Thinking of doing something chill. Maybe rooftop drinks. Would love for you to come. I offered to help her plan. She said, only if you want to. Not because you always have to. That one landed. We picked a small rooftop downtown. Nothing flashy. Just string lights, craft cocktails, and space to breathe. Serena made a group chat with a handful of women. Lily, Maddie, a few of her work friends. People I didn't know well but had seen around. Smiled at across coffee shops or liked each other's photos. It felt casual. Open. No hierarchy. No politics. Just women showing up for each other. I wore a green linen dress I hadn't touched in months. One that used to be my go-to for friend events. Before I stopped feeling like I had anyone to wear it for. I felt good in it. Not to impress, not to reclaim anything. Just good. The rooftop filled slowly. Serena looked radiant, laughing in that unfiltered way she always did when she forgot to worry about being heard. I was sipping a cucumber gin cocktail, talking to one of her old college friends when I saw Camille walk in. She froze for a second when our eyes met. I hadn't invited her. Serena had. Apparently, they'd reconnected recently. And somehow Camille had shown up. Alone. She made her way across the deck slowly, offering smiles to the others, hugging Serena, complimenting the view. Eventually, she made her way toward me. Hey, she said. You look really happy. I tilted my head. That's because I am. There was a pause. I didn't know you'd be here, she said. Well, I guess I should have. I didn't plan it, I replied. I'm just here, like everyone else. She nodded, eyes scanning the space. It's a good group. It feels different. It is different, I said. On purpose. Camille opened her mouth, maybe to apologize, maybe to explain, but I didn't need it. Not now. Not here. I'm glad you came, I said, and I meant it. Not because I missed her, but because I'd stopped needing her to come back to feel whole. Later that night, someone passed around disposable cameras. We took blurry photos under string lights, danced barefoot when the playlist shifted to early 2000s hits, and toasted to Serena as the city lit up behind her. I caught my reflection in the window, laughing, full, arms around two women who had once been strangers. And I realized this was mine. Not taken, not stolen, not rebuilt out of spite. Just mine. 2 days after the wedding, Camille texted me. It was short, hesitant. Can we talk? I stared at the message for a full minute. My first instinct was to ignore it. I didn't owe her anything. She'd stood by and watched Ava do the slow damage. She'd nodded along, laughed at the digs, looked the other way while I slipped out of the group we both helped build. But ignoring her would have meant staying in the old story. And I wasn't in that version of myself anymore. I told her to meet me at the park. Neutral ground, no audience. No wine glasses or curated playlists. Just us in the air between what we were and what we'd become. She showed up right on time. Hair pulled back. No makeup. Oversized sweatshirt like she didn't want to be seen as anything other than sincere. I gave her a small nod as she sat on the bench beside me. She didn't speak right away. Just let out a breath like she'd been holding it in for months. I messed up, she said. I stayed quiet. I saw it happening. All of it. The way Ava treated you. The way the group started orbiting around her. And I didn't stop it. I didn't even slow it down. Still, I said nothing. She turned to me. You were always the one holding everything together. I think we all got lazy, used to you carrying the weight. When Ava took over, it felt easier. She didn't expect anything real. That stung, but it didn't surprise me. I'm sorry, she said again. Not just for letting it happen, but for never checking in. For pretending you were pulling away when really, we pushed you out. Finally, I looked at her. I needed someone to say something. Just one of you. To ask if I was okay. I know, she whispered. And I didn't. We sat there for a long moment, the kind of silence that doesn't ache. It settles. I'm not angry anymore, I told her. But I'm not going back either, to how things were. She nodded, eyes glassy. I wouldn't expect you to, I miss you. I miss who we were, I said. But that version of us broke, and I had to build something from the pieces. Camille smiled, but it was laced with sadness. You built something good. I did. She didn't ask to be let back in. She didn't beg for brunches or group chats or second chances. She just said, if you ever want to try again, differently, I'm here. It wasn't closure. Not the neat kind. But it was honest, and that was more than I ever thought I'd get. As she walked away, I felt it. How healing doesn't always come from reunion. Sometimes it comes from being seen, finally, without being needed. A year ago, I thought I'd lost everything. I thought being excluded from a group I helped build meant the end of who I was. I thought silence from people I once called sisters was a verdict I couldn't come back from. But I was wrong. It didn't happen overnight. There was no montage, no glittering moment of triumph. Just small, quiet choices, texts sent, invitations accepted. The decision, again and again, to move forward instead of circling back to where I was unwanted. And somewhere along the way, I stopped surviving and started living again. My circle looks different now. Smaller, warmer, real. The women in my life now don't perform friendship. They live it. They show up. They laugh with their whole bodies and cry without apology. They don't compete for space because they know there's enough for all of us. I no longer wonder what I did wrong. I wonder how I stayed so long where I wasn't seen. I didn't steal anyone. I didn't burn anything down. I just left the door open and let people choose where they wanted to stand. Some drifted away. Others found their way back. And some, like Serena and Lily and Maddie, became the home I didn't know I needed. As for Ava, I haven't seen her since the wedding. But her silence says more than an apology ever could. She built something out of mirrors, and when they cracked, she had no idea what was real. That's not my burden to carry anymore. Sometimes I scroll past old photos, trips I planned, dinners I hosted, birthdays I made special. I used to look at them with bitterness. Now I see them for what they were. Love, effort, memories. Nothing about them was wasted. I just gave them to the wrong people for a little too long. But I'm still me. I still plan too much. Still text people articles I think they'll like. Still make playlists for no reason and bring extra snacks just in case. The difference is, now I do it for people who see it for the love it is, not the control they imagined it to be. I used to think being left out meant I wasn't enough. Now I know it meant I was too much for the wrong crowd. And that's okay. Some people need quiet. I need depth. I need people who can sit in the messy middle and still choose each other. So, if you're reading this and you've ever been pushed out, replaced, ghosted by people you thought would never disappear, this is your sign. It's not the end, it's the clearing. Start over, build better. You don't need to take anyone down. Just take yourself with you. And the right ones will follow.